کہ دل کو ٹھنڈ پڑ جاتی. وَأَبْيَضُ يُسْتَسْقَى الْغَمَامُ بِوَجْهِهِ سَمَالُ الْيَتَامَى عِصْمَةٌ لِلْأَرَامِلِ. تو اس دور میں بھی غریبوں، بیواؤں اور دکھیوں کی مدد کر رہے ہیں. تو یہ بات کر رہا تھا کہ ابیض کا لفظ جو ہے یہ حضور کے لیے بولا.
Take Salaam Radio wherever you go by downloading our app.
بس یہی دیکھتے ہو میں ہوں گناہگاروں میں، بس یہی دیکھتے ہو میں ہوں گناہگاروں میں، بس یہی دیکھتے ہو میں ہوں گناہگاروں میں. کون ہے یہ بھی تو دیکھو میرے غم خواروں میں، کون ہے یہ بھی تو دیکھو میرے غم خواروں میں، بس یہی دیکھتے ہو. فیصلہ حشر کا ایک آن میں ہو جائے گا، فیصلہ حشر کا ایک آن میں ہو جائے گا. بیٹھ جائیں گے جب آ کر وہ گناہگاروں میں، بیٹھ جائیں گے جب آ کر وہ گناہگاروں میں، بس یہی دیکھتے ہو. قربت شہر مدینہ کی ہے بس ایک صورت، قربت شہر مدینہ کی ہے بس ایک صورت. کوئی چن دے مجھے اس شہر کی دیواروں میں، کوئی چن دے مجھے اس شہر کی دیواروں میں، بس یہی دیکھتے ہو. اشک غم اشک ندامت ہے متائے کونین، اشک غم اشک ندامت ہے متائے کونین. یہ وہ دولت ہے جو ملتی ہے گناہگاروں میں، یہ وہ دولت ہے جو ملتی ہے گناہگاروں میں، بس یہی دیکھتے ہو. خون دل خون جگر خون تمنا سے ادیب، خون دل خون جگر خون تمنا سے ادیب. رنگ آتا ہے میری فکر کے شہپاروں میں ذکر کے شہپاروں میں بس یہی دیکھتے ہو.
ویکھن سونے دا دربار میں مدینے چلیاں، ویکھن سونے دا دربار میں مدینے چلیاں، مینوں پاؤ پھلاں دے ہار میں مدینے چلیاں، مینوں پاؤ پھلاں دے ہار میں مدینے چلیاں، 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 ویکھن سونے دا دربار میں مدینے چلیاں، ویکھن سونے دا دربار میں مدینے چلیاں، مینوں پاؤ پھلاں دے ہار میں مدینے چلیاں. او وی آکھے میں ہاں چلی، آوی آکھے میں ہاں چلی، اے وی آکھے میں ہاں چلی، سدیا مینوں وی سرکار میں مدینے چلیاں، سدیا مینوں وی سرکار میں مدینے چلیاں، سدیا مینوں وی سرکار میں مدینے چلیاں، سدیا مینوں وی سرکار، سدیا مینوں وی سرکار، سدیا مینوں وی سرکار میں مدینے چلیاں، ویکھن سونے دا دربار میں مدینے چلیاں، ویکھن سونے دا دربار میں مدینے چلیاں، مینوں پاؤ پھلاں دے ہار میں مدینے چلیاں. پاگاں والیاں نے او گلیاں چمیاں جنہاں نے نبی دیاں گلیاں، چمیاں جنہاں نے نبی دیاں تلیاں، چمسا میں بھی کئی بار میں مدینے چلیاں، چمسا میں بھی کئی بار میں مدینے چلیاں، چمسا میں بھی کئی بار، چمسا میں بھی کئی بار، چمسا میں.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quotation and excellent service, then look no further. At Covershaw Peterborough, our staff has extensive local knowledge and offer you friendly advice. We guarantee to beat any written quote. We offer specialist insurance solutions, taxi and commercial vehicle insurance, public and employers liability, shops, offices and restaurants, courier insurance, fast food car insurance and fleet insurance for 2 or more vehicles, motor trade policies, household and buy-to-let insurance. Covershaw has been trading for 40 years and is a true community insurance broker. Call for a quote on 01733 750 850. Covershaw, for all your insurance needs.
Stars Day Nurseries are the largest childcare providers in Peterborough that have been graded outstanding by Ofsted because we nurture the potential in each child and aim to support and extend their learning and development through planned learning experiences. And currently we have free 15-hour places at all our locations in Peterborough. So for more information, call us on Peterborough 01733 312 612 or email us at info@starsdaynurseries.co.uk.
Practical car and van hire. Cars and vans to suit all requirements. Day hire, short-term and long-term hire. Couriers long-term hire available with cars from only £10 per day and vans from only £15 per day. All inclusive of insurance, road tax and maintenance. Call us on 01733 572277. Practical Car and Van Hire, Manchester Square, Warrington.
Car trouble? Come to the experts. Car Care Centre, experts in MOT, repairs and servicing. Free diagnostic checks on all makes and models worth £50. Free pickup and delivery service. Car Care Centre, Unit 33, Manchester Square, Warrington. 01733 571694. Book your car in today.
Calling all dessert lovers. If you have a sweet tooth, then Creams Cafe, the UK's biggest and best Italian gelato chain, is the place to go in Peterborough. Established in 2008, Creams serve delicious desserts like waffles, crepes, sundaes and milkshakes, all in very comfortable and stylish surroundings. You can be sure there's something for everyone at Creams.
Salaam Radio and MEND present an important free community seminar, United Peterborough, Challenging Islamophobia and Hate. With the recent increase in hate crimes in Peterborough, this timely event will discuss the importance of reporting all hate crimes and incidents, offer key practical advice and provide a Q&A session to alleviate concerns and obtain answers. Speakers are Inspector Kate Furman, Hate Crime Lead for Peterborough, Azad Ali, Head of Community Development and Engagement at MEND, and Arma Suleiman, Director at Salaam Radio. Please join us for this engaging and important event. United Peterborough, Challenging Islamophobia and Hate, Sunday, 18th of June at 5 p.m. Thomas Deacon Academy, Lecture Theatre, Queen's Gardens, Peterborough. All are welcome. A united Peterborough is a safer Peterborough.
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio. Broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. You are listening to Let's Talk, our weekly current affairs show with me, Akil Khalil, and my co-host Hamid Chowdhury.
Assalamu alaikum.
On Salaam Radio 106.2 FM. We are online at salamradio.co.uk, Facebook Live, and tonight YouTube Live, or via iOS and Android apps. Always on air, 24/7, 365, uniting all communities. Please get involved with your opinions by calling us on 01733 602 133 or text WhatsApp us on 07745 278 978. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How you doing?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I thought it goes on a bit longer.
Yeah, you know, I was trying my DJ skills tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know if it worked.
It didn't work that. It ended too quick.
It is. It's Ramadan. That's why.
Hey, look, there's still an hour and a half to go. 2 and a half hours to go before iftar.
Yeah, that's right. How you feeling?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. You know what? I'm okay. I tell you what, these. You know, I mean, we discussed this, but we weren't on the show last week, but we discussed it the week before, didn't we? As Ramadan started, you know, sort of first couple of days getting into it. But yeah, no, I think we're at that stage. I mean, I certainly feel it. Where, you know, I don't necessarily feel anything, although I do feel that the end of Ramadan has come a bit too quick. I mean, we're in the last Ashura.
Remember when you said when we first started Ramadan, you said to me, you know, you start and then suddenly before you know it, it's over and you're thinking, where did that go?
Yeah.
It's gone. You're absolutely right. We're over halfway.
I mean, Eid most likely Sunday or Monday. Most likely Sunday. Who knows? It could be Monday
or Monday.
On Monday, well, whichever way it falls. I mean, the point is that it's only a week away.
Yeah.
And we saw last the 21st, 22nd tomorrow. So 8 days to go.
8 days to go.
Yeah, subhanallah.
Yeah,
amazing.
Absolutely amazing. It's such a spiritual experience when you're going through it.
It is. I think that there's this kind of. I mean, I suppose fasting does that because it creates it kind of digs deep into your kind of soul almost, and kind of moves away this kind of facade, of sort of. Food and water, anything like that. Not a facade, but in a sense that focus, and you kind of channels that focus towards a kind of spiritual growth.
Yeah,
and I think it kind of facilitates that. And as the whole community does it, not just the community, obviously the Muslims worldwide do it. All across the globe, we're all connected in this Ramadan with the idea of fasting.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Which is quite amazing.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And I just want to say we also have tonight joining us again. Is Link FM from Sheffield.
Oh, so yes, of course.
So Salaam alaikum to the listeners there, as well as our usual listeners in Luton from Inspire FM. So Salaam alaikum to you as well.
Yeah. Again, I mean, there you go. We're connecting. I mean, we started off as a community, Peterborough community radio station, and now we're sort of having a show broadcasted.
It's all you.
Well, what do you want me to say to that, bro?
Such a modest chap.
I know.
Anybody who's tapped into Facebook Live or YouTube Live tonight
now, of course,
can see you in the flesh tonight. What I was going to say was, I don't, the listeners aren't aware, but me and you, we've been trying to break fast iftar at different locations in Peterborough.
We have,
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been great. The Turkish one was brilliant, wasn't it?
The Kurdish one.
Sorry, Kurdish.
How could you get that mixed up?
Sorry, Kurdish.
It's fabulous. What a great community atmosphere.
I mean, it's a tiny centre, tiny masjid on Dockside Road, and I think small communities. You get that homely feel, and certainly I think when we were there, and I've been there I've been there late after you as well, and again it's wonderful, and I've been going there for at least once Ramadan for the last couple of years, and each time I go it's absolutely wonderful. Really,
I felt the hospitality, not least the food, but just the people themselves. It's a great atmosphere. I felt really welcome there,
and it's different, isn't it? Iftari is different. I mean, we're accustomed to, depending on which masjid you go to, you'll get. Actually, I think when I was younger, growing up, you'd have a few dates, you pray, and then you eat.
Yeah.
But now I think it's pretty much unanimous across the masjids, pretty much all masjids maybe, that you have your dates, you have your food, and then you pray, and then you go. But in the Kurdish center, we were given soup, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which was wonderful actually.
It was.
And then you pray.
Yeah.
And then you sit and eat, so it's nice to kind of have that variance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I found, I mean, like I said, I'm hoping to go back again before Ramzan is finished.
Well, you ain't got a lot of time, bro.
I know I haven't, and seen
in the last 10 days.
I might have to reach out to Brother Amir, who isn't here again today.
Yeah, no, he's not. No,
man on a mission.
Hey, my bag's sitting on the chair, so
that's the new Brother Amir, a purple bag.
But yeah, talking about the last 10 days, I mean, again, this month has come, and it's pretty much on the way out, isn't it? I mean, it's like a guest who's almost getting ready to leave, and it's always saddening. I mean, it's always apprehensive when it arrives, and it's always saddening to see it go. And I think it's one of those things which you end up missing. And I think, as the last 10 days, as we're approaching the last 10 days, we're in this last 10 days, of which the Prophet ﷺ, if he ever exerted himself more, he exerted himself more in the month of Ramadan. And if he ever exerted himself more in any month, it was in the last 10 days of Ramadan. And I think, this is probably an opportunity for us, really. And I know for myself, I've probably not taken out as much as I should have done in Ramadan, which unfortunately happens every year. So last 10 days, because I was reading somewhere, and actually interestingly, I was listening to about this Jummah as well, that it's with Allah, it's not about how you start the race, it's about how you end the race. So your end is more important than your start. So I think, the idea that this last 10 days, I think we still have a massive opportunity, and that's why Laylatul Qadr is in the last 10 days of Ramadan, the other nights. Because,
great advice, bro. Yeah, definitely. I think our listeners would agree with you as well. The last 10 days, magical. And you get that vibe. You do get that vibe. I know, like you said, it is sad that that it's going to finish. By the same token, however, you also know that you sort of count your blessings more. You know, it sort of focuses you more to want to not just for the betterment of yourself or your family, just generally as society. You start looking at society in a different in a different way, a much more spiritual, calmer, logical way. And it gives, I suppose, in so many ways, I find Ramadan gives me more of a reason of purpose. You know, and you know. It's, you know,
it kind of refocuses you, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Or regrounds you, I suppose. You know,
and like you said, when you see your family members or people in your community, and even people from around the world, or everybody's fasting, everybody's on that same sort of vibe, you know. And you know, it's that ikhlaq you get.
Yeah,
you know, it's amazing. It's
I mean,
fantastic.
I don't think there's any other religion or society in the world where globally people come together. I'm talking about globally in every corner of the world, almost every country, every corner of the world, where there are Muslims, they've come together in this month of fasting. We're talking about people from Australia, where in this time of the year they probably have 8 or 9 hours fasting, right up to Iceland, where they probably have 20 hours, 21 hours fasting, and it connects, you know, the people from different parts of the world together into this single kind of focus towards the Almighty, towards God.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
It is absolutely amazing. It really is. I mean, if you think about it in that, so you know, we very often think about it in local terms, and absolutely, locally, the massages in your community, the people fasting around you, with you, you know, visiting different, as we said, different mosques, different massages. You know, you think about it from that term, it's great. It's wonderful to see. You know, in the evening people are out, and you know, but then if you sort of look at it nationally and then glow internationally, it kind of, you know, as your horizon grows. And that's why I think as an ummah, I mean, that's why we're an ummah. The ummah is a global idea, not a kind of nationalistic, local, tribal idea. The idea is that we're part of a global Muslim community. And that's why I think the topics we picked up today, talking about the Grenfell Tower and then going on to Qatar. I mean, the reason they are they kind of poles apart really, but it's the idea that as a Muslim, you know, our view is international. It's not just local.
Definitely.
You know,
I agree with you, and and with that, I mean, we're going to be talking about a very sad topic. It's a tragedy affecting not just Londoners, but you know, everybody in this country.
That's right, absolutely. And presumably, I don't think we've seen something like this, have we? It
was like something out of it's something out of a horror movie. You know, when the first pictures came, and you saw it, you're like, "Well, that doesn't look real."
No. I mean, it's this tower block towering in the air.
Yeah.
You know, in the sky, and it's just on fire. I mean,
raging inferno.
Absolutely, and all sides. I mean, it was unparalleled.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, you know, in so many ways, you know, it was like I don't know if you recall. I think it was a New Year's Eve, and the tallest building in Dubai, I think it was, that had a fire.
Okay.
But because it was so tall, it gave obviously it would, because it was so tall, the grandstanding effect of the fire. Whereas this isn't as high. But however, like you just said, all four sides. Yeah. But it was the pace at which, it took 15 minutes from level 4 to 24 in raging fire, brother.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost as if somebody had a gasoline can and, you know, got to the 24th floor, tipped it out, and somebody lit a match. Obviously, that didn't happen. Yeah. But I mean, the visual element when you just look at it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're talking about 24 floors.
Yeah.
In a building with 120 or so flats, 1-2 bedroom flats, 600 people are estimated to be resident there.
Yeah.
So and with one stairwell and 2 lifts, something along those lines. And we can get on to talk about that. But the point is that you're right. I think it was a scary sight. I think 1 o'clock at night or in the morning, early hours of the morning, 1 o'clock, just before 1, the fire starts. and then it's just there till the following day. I think midday the following day the fire's still going. I think it's smoking now, even now.
Yeah, that's correct.
You know?
And they haven't actually been able to penetrate the building from, I think it's like a late teen level.
Right.
They still can't do it because the apparatus that the fire brigade use don't go high enough.
Oh wow!
You know, so the fear at present is we don't know how many people are actually passed away. We have no idea what's actually going on. They're just doing the best they can, and it's been devastating.
It is absolutely.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I was extremely emotional when I first saw it because, like I said, you had to pause your mind and have this. You have that sobering moment where you're like, "Well, this is real." You know. We'll go on to the stories about some of the victims, etc. But just in terms of just visually seeing it, it didn't feel real initially, and then until it was real, until you're seeing people screaming and you're seeing fire brigades turning up and you're seeing people running out, and suddenly you got the first responders at the scene going in. But then you got the first residents coming out, who are then giving their interviews, and their testimonies, brother, were so real. You know, you, as a human being, as a parent, you're just. You know, I was completely gobsmacked. I was like, what am I... I recall when it happened, by the way. I woke up. I'm a bit addicted to Twitter, as you know. Right. I woke up, and the first thing I did was, for some weird reason that morning, I checked my Twitter account, and it said breaking news fire. And I was like, what? Like, my brain just sort of woke up a little bit. And then I had a little look, but there wasn't enough information on mainstream. Remember, everything goes Twitter first. Nothing on the mainstream media first. And I started looking through it, and my mind just woke up, and I was like, what is going on here? And suddenly, and even then, the information was just sort of like dripping through. But by the time it was time to close the fast, the information had become vast quite quickly, bro. And... it was.
I mean, I remember. I mean, much the same, I suppose. I remember going home after Isha, after Tarawih, and I don't tend to sleep because it's just it's only a couple of hours in it. And I was still just looking through my WhatsApp messages and stuff, and then suddenly it popped up. Obviously, the locals there, you know, started talking about it, and that's how I thought, oh. But you're right. Actually, there wasn't a lot of information initially, so you weren't sure about the gravity of it. I don't live in London, you know, so I weren't sure what it meant. You know, Grenfell Tower, or you know. So, but the images, I think, really brought it home.
And how could it not?
Yeah.
This is, I mean, this Grenfell Tower is in North Kensington.
Yeah.
It's 127
the richest
flats.
borough in England.
Okay, it looks like we have a call,
we have
brother.
a call,
so we need to take the call here, brother. So, phone line. Salaam alaikum, you're live on Salaam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. It's Shabina. How are you?
I'm very well, Dr. Shabina. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you very much. First of all, I just want to say how much I have missed your show. And seriously,
we've missed our show.
We've missed our show, actually, yes.
Oh, honestly, it's been such a welcome that your show has come back on. And honestly, I was just driving back with the children, and sort of the topic at hand that you've spoken about, the whole Grenfell Tower, and I just couldn't help but call in and give some views, if that was all right with you.
Of course.
A lot has just been going on in the whole of Ramzan, as you can see. We first of all had the Manchester attacks, then we had the London attacks, which were totally different in terms of obviously the nature of those incidents. But then there's been tragedy associated with each, and this one really was, for myself, like it was what you can say when everybody has their threshold, and that threshold is reached, and the amount of pain I think every individual that I'm talking to is feeling. And I went to school in West London, which was in the same area. I went to Edward Wilson School, and I know that area very well. And I know I had friends from school that would live in those tower blocks and come to school. So it really has hit me hard in how emotional it is. But if you don't mind me saying so, and for your listeners as well, a message that you see a lot on social media regarding politicization of this event, sort of, you know, this never happened or that never happened. The actual fact of the matter is what we really, I think, need to concentrate on, and all of us need to learn from this, that, you know, we all complain. I complain. I'm a mother. I complain about the fact that I have so many responsibilities with regards to my children, that I've got to tag them back and forth. I complain I'm tired. I complain I've got too much work to do. And there are people there, examples of whom we can put in front of us and say, well, actually, they lost everything. And there was a young girl that went to give her GCSE exam the very next day. And where there are people fighting on social media about the fact that, oh, if it was the Labour Party, this wouldn't have happened, and oh, the Tories never funded enough. And it's true, there is a lot of truth behind this, but I do think that we all need to stop fighting with each other. Social media.
I guess it's a lot of anger, certainly the residents there and people in the vicinity, a lot of anger being expressed that, and trying to grapple with this idea that what went wrong. And in that, they sort of, sort of clutching on to all these accusations that are flying about.
Absolutely. And I do think that in that regard, it should not be left. But the people that sort of aren't really remotely associated with the area, etc., when they sort of, there's quite a lot of mudslinging going on, and I think that energy needs to be used constructively. So, for example, if people really did want to make a difference, it would be good that they register themselves to volunteer with the council and go down and actually help those people in some way constructively. We all know what failings took place. We all know that there were probably going to be a lot more casualties, and we all need to stand by these people that have suffered, to be honest, and actually assist them to take to task those people that were actually responsible for this occurring in the first place. And I think that that's what they really need, and this is where our strength lies, to assist those people in any which way that we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think the kind of response of the community was heartwarming. It really was amazing that people came together, even in that early sort of 10 minutes or so, people coming together, going into the block, waking people up, even though it's on fire, there is a danger to them, but they're still doing. And then subsequently to that, people bringing out food, water, clothing, whatever it is, to the extent that they're so overflowing that they're not sure where to put it.
That's so true, Brother Hamid. And the other thing I just wanted to say, if I may say so, is that us as a Muslim community, obviously, you speak on Let's Talk, and it sort of represents the Muslim community as well as connecting to other communities as a whole. And I do feel rather saddened, actually, to see that there is a lot of, despite everything being done, there is still a lot of Islamic bashing going on. I have people that I know who put on, as soon as they saw that this had happened at the Grenfell Tower, they were sharing, sort of trying to override the fact that this was a sort of any Muslim community came and helped. It was all apparent in the media. I do think that the media is very instrumental in publicising what factions went to help in the midst of this crisis. But at the same time, it is also very instrumental in firing up non-Muslims' feelings towards Muslims as a community, which is why I do see a lot of venomous posts, and it does sadden me. It tremendously.
But I guess I mean that's there. But in this particular incident, I guess that's that kind of Islamophobic attitude has been suppressed, because people have clearly seen that it was it was because of Ramadan, because of and because of Tarawih finishing, that Muslims were the first really on the scene to actively help. And I think that's been quite as a message, it's been put out there. I agree. I think the media hasn't publicized it as much as it probably would have done if it wasn't Muslims, possibly, who knows, but certainly the local residents and the people there really appreciated that, and I think social media has democratized this kind of news feeds that are going out there. So through that, I think a lot of this awareness has been made.
And I think you're never going to be able to control or really have a say in what the national media really do in terms of that, but the fact that the conversation by social media and people themselves and the people on the ground themselves are praising the Muslims who actually were essentially the first responders, I think that's great. I think that's been really fantastic.
I think it's really good, and I think that we as a community actually need to work in terms of improving this exposure that we have on the media. I think we do need to take a stand in some way. I mean, we all grew up in the 80s. We knew that at the time there was a lot of animosity towards Afro-Caribbeans, and now I think a lot of us, especially myself, being a proud British Muslim and unapologetic British Muslim, feel I'm actually rather sick and tired now of being tarred with a brush that about my religion that actually isn't representative of me.
Yeah, and you know what, most people in this country are probably agree with you, because they probably are sick and tired of the way certain media outlets are reporting this, even in a time when there is this kind of national unity and Muslims are coming together and there's a community spirit. Even at that time, you're absolutely right, certain papers would still try and find an angle to. I mean, I read something which seems to be quite common now on social media, that when everyone's saying that it's the Muslims that came out, these are non-Muslims talking about it. They're saying, well, why are you using the term Muslim? Why not young people?
Yeah.
Well,
funny that you don't seem to use that term when it's a terrorist.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the Islamophobes, hate preachers, hate mongers, they always will be coming up with something or another, but I think they're few and far between. I think the vast majority of people in this country, I think, recognize the contributions Muslims make to this country. They're part and parcel of this society. We're all part and parcel of this society, and I think it's in times of crisis like this that you see how the Muslim community, the communities as a whole, irrespective of religious background, as come together to help one another, support one another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why your show needs to stick around, because it shows.
Why, do you know something we don't?
Oh, the cat is out of the bag now, Dr. Sharina.
Not at all, but it just gives people like myself a platform to air their views, and I can't tell you how instrumental that is, and how passionate a lot of people like myself in the community are. And thank you for giving us that opportunity. Honestly, you're doing a wonderful job, brothers. Seriously, I wait for your show.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate
But before you go, Dr. Shamina, I was going to ask you, actually, you said that you grew up in that neighborhood or you went to a school there. So I suppose Grenfell Tower, you must be able to, was it quite an imposing kind of tower? I think there's a couple of them.
It was a very imposing town. Now, my mum and dad live in Marylebone now, which is the other. I went to school there, though, and we've always lived where we have. But just to explain to you in short, when you go on the A40, we used to know that we were near home when we would see that tower, because it would be towering there, bang next to the A40. And in the words of my mother, when I spoke to her the day it happened, the next day it happened, I have never heard my mother's voice so shaky. And in her exact words, I quote, she said to me that, "Beta, that burnt tower standing there looks like a towering, powerful, burnt out black monster." And it serves as a memory to haunt us forever and ever. As to what happened to those people. And literally, it brought me out in goosebumps when she said that to me. That's the type of.
I really wanted to get to kind of how you felt. I mean, knowing it so closely, how you felt when you heard the news and kind of the emotions that you went through, because I think you see a lot of video clips that people and expressing their emotions. It's heart-wrenching to hear a lot of the stories.
Absolutely heart-wrenching, brother. You're absolutely right. I was listening to Brother Akil earlier on when he was saying that just watching those video clips, and I share his emotion. I think it really hit me when I first watched it. We were in the throes of Ramadan, doing our sahri, etc.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I'm going to have to just ask you to just pause there for a second. We've got an advert coming up. Do apologise.
Yep. Do you want me to stick around?
Yes, please. We want to hear your views.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
This Ramadan, Families Relief will be working on special Ramadan programs that need your help and support. Whether you would like to donate zakat, sadaqah, fitrana, or kafara, your Ramadan donations will help us distribute food and clean water to impoverish families in needy countries like Pakistan, Yemen, Syria, Gaza, and Africa. Help us to help them survive this Ramadan. Donate now on 0114 365 4454. Or go online to familiesrelief.org.uk. Together, we can save lives.
Fed up with rising insurance costs, a distinct lack of service, and brokers who only contact you when they want your money? Why not try something different? Insure 24/7 is a community-based insurance brokerage offering competitive premiums and a great service. Taxis, properties and businesses, we cover them all. Call us on 01733 856 699 or visit us 58 to 60 Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Insure 24/7. We've got you covered. Insure 24/7 is a trading name of Insurance Services, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Having issues with your tenants? Stressed by not receiving rent on time? Is your agent not giving you the service you pay for? Why not speak to Tenant Find? We offer a rent guarantee service, online login to view your statements and invoices, repair cover to ensure you are not left with drastic repair costs or boiler repairs, giving you total peace of mind. If you're having issues with your current tenants, we can help you evict through the courts. Call Tenant Find today on 01733 563 580 or visit tenantfind.co.uk. Tenant Find, 237 Lincoln Road, Peterborough. We take the stress out of letting.
आला बड़े पैसे आई गए कराना दूरी भाई काम शुरू कराए
पैसे नहीं भाई यूके प्लम्बिंग एंड डीआईवाई नहीं ऑफर इस तरह नहीं है
लाला यूके प्लम्बिंग वाले कड़ियां चीज़ां बेचने न
घर है कि अपग्रेड करनियां सारियां चीज़ां बाथां टॉयलेटां टैप्स बॉयलर रेडिएटर प्लम्बिंग फिटिंग्स पेंट स्टोर डीआईवाई टाइलां सारा कुछ बेचने नहीं
चीज़ां कोई सस्तियां में बेचने न को नहीं
ओए साल ले 12 महीने इन्हां नी ऑफरां लगियां होणियां नहीं
जल्दी कर मी पता दस होए मैं भी कराना काम शुरू करासां
है किन्ना पता
Please visit us at Unit 2 Brassey Close, Lincoln Road Industrial Estate, PE1 2AZ, or call 01733 555 826. UK Plumbing and DIY, a name you can trust.
Salaam Radio and Mend present an important free community seminar, United Peterborough, challenging Islamophobia and hate. With the recent increase in hate crimes in Peterborough, this timely event will discuss the importance of reporting all hate crimes and incidents, offer key practical advice and provide a Q&A session to alleviate concerns and obtain answers. Speakers are Inspector Kate Furman, Hate Crime Lead for Peterborough, Azad Ali, Head of Community Development and Engagement at Mend, and Arma Suleiman, Director at Salaam Radio. Please join us for this engaging and important event. United Peterborough, challenging Islamophobia and hate, Sunday 18th of June at 5 p.m. Thomas Deacon Academy, Lecture Theatre, Queen's Gardens, Peterborough. All are welcome. A united Peterborough is a safer Peterborough.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك.
This is Salaam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio, broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Let's Talk, our weekly current affairs show with me, Akil Khalil, and my brother Hamid Chowdhury.
Assalamu alaikum.
We are live on salaamradio.co.uk and we are also broadcasting to Sheffield Link FM and Luton Inspire FM. Before the break, we were talking to Dr. Shabina, and she was sharing. No, she's still there. She sharing her thoughts with us about her reaction to the fire in London. So, Dr. Shabina, are you still there? I hope. Bear with me. I'm going to try and find her again. Have we still got her there, brother? Dr. Shabina, are you still with us?
Oh, it's this one.
I think she's still there with us.
I am.
Oh, there she is. There we go. Apologies, we're having a little technical issue. It's been a week. We're a little ring rusty.
Wrong button.
That's okay. Yeah, no worries at all. So, the feelings about it. So I used to have a friend called Heidi that used to live in the Tower Block. Now, my dad used to drop us off to school, my brother and myself, and the first thing that I once sort of slipped his vision to go and get my friend Heidi from her house, which I wasn't allowed to do, but skipped across anyway. I was in primary school, and she lived in flat number 30. And I can remember that we would wait for the lift, and it was a teeny tiny flat, and I can remember just rows and rows and rows of houses, just this long corridor. But it was very little, so the sort of perception of size would have been a lot bigger. And just thinking about that and having a look at that whole big tower block burning, I cannot tell you, fills me with fear. It fills me with sadness. I had memories associated with that area. And the important thing that I'd really like to stress here, brothers, to you is the enormous disparity in social status within that borough. So if there was a clear line of demarcation, you could clearly see the division between people that would reside within council houses, such as the Tower Block and some surrounding blocks. And then you had the elite that were living in the various squares that are associated with the borough of Kensington and Chelsea. And there was a clear disparity, and the two never really ever mixed with each other. This is however far my memory takes me. And it is staggering that this division in social status has gone on for such a long time. And actually, I think now that it's very reflective in the recent election results, because I think for the first time, a Labour government, a Labour MP has secured that seat, which actually tells a lot about what the majority of people actually want there. But
yeah, I mean, it's a shame that it's a tragedy of this proportion that has to kind of bring this kind of divide to the surface, or at least allow the rest of the country to see that. Because, you know, by and large, I think most people look at London and they think, okay, there are pockets of, but you wouldn't think Chelsea, the borough of Chelsea, being one of the richest boroughs in the UK, you know, have sort of areas which, you know, with a massive economic divide, prosperity divide.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the most affluent boroughs or areas in the world, I would say. There are flats there that are elite flats that are still on agents' books to be sold, but are on the waiting list. People have a 7-year waiting list because there are that many people who want to buy them. That's how popular they are. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, I do feel that there were hundreds of casualties, and I do fear that the casualty figure is going to go into triple figures.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah,
I think there is this. I just had it on my sort of feed here that protesters are walking through the upmarket parts of Notting Hill, calling for the wealthy residents to join the demonstration. Largely, that is calling for justice, because they're saying that the government is not releasing the true number of the death toll. They're kind of managing it, so the impact is not so great. And I think this. I think you're absolutely right. I think at the most conservative estimates it's over 100. If not more. There's 600 people in that block. There's fire spread rapidly and quickly on the exterior, smoke filled, and there's 24 blocks. So I mean, just basic common sense will show you that, you know, the casualty, unfortunately, the death toll is going to be much higher.
Well, we appreciate your call, sister.
Thank you so much, brother. It was absolutely wonderful. Just wanted to add at the end that I just think that this may be another Hillsborough unfolding, if not sort of 10 times its size. But thank you very much for your views. I won't take up too much of your time. Great show. I'll still be listening to you.
Okay, Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, brother. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah, I think Dr. Shabina made some real valid
Absolutely.
points.
I think her last point, that was really pertinent.
The divide.
None of the Hillsborough one.
Right.
Because you know, this could take a long time, because there was a tower fire, wasn't there, in Harmon?
That's right. Yes, that's right.
That took years, and now they're saying, you know, they don't want that to happen.
No. Well, I think Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, he said that he wants at least an interim report within 6 months. Because he doesn't want, and somebody actually, while talking to Jeremy Corbyn, said that they don't want this kicked into the long grass, you know, to quote. So you're absolutely right. I think stuff like this generally tends to take many years before anyone's made culpable for.
What do you think, listeners? Please get involved in the conversation. You can call the studio on 01733 602 133, or you can text WhatsApp us on 07745 278 978. Now, when the story first broke, so after I think it was the first 18 hours or so, people were initially talking about this. They were talking about, right, there needs to be an inquiry. And quickly, after 24 hours, in fact, I think 36 hours, they were talking about how the residents are going to try and take the tenant, the landlords, etc., the council to court and etc. But because of cuts to the legal aid, etc., they're not going to be able to fund it. Now, what I can confirm to you now is, before we went on air, Theresa May, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, who won by a majority, I hasten to add.
It's a minority government, hasn't won by a majority.
She won the most votes.
The largest seat, the largest number of
exactly.
seats.
She has said that it will be state funded.
Right. Okay.
So that's something
Right.
good. That's
Right.
that's something good. There's something there for the residents there. Also, a £5 million emergency fund has been triggered, with the view that funerals, clothing, rehousing, etc., will all be covered in this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's enough personally.
No.
Doesn't sound
I mean,
right.
I mean, I think. I don't know. I mean, it's a week since it happened on Wednesday. Well, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
We're in Friday now. It's taken quite a few days. I mean, Theresa May didn't really come visit meet the residents.
Utterly shocking, brother.
That was. I mean, she met the fire people and sort of the first responders, I suppose, but she didn't actually meet the residents. While on the other hand, Jeremy Corbyn. You see the videos out there. He was meeting the residents and stuff.
Sadiq Khan and Jeremy Corbyn did the right thing. They went out there and they met the people who lived there.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me, I think it was actually earlier on today, that if the election was going on now, and people were to cast their ballot tomorrow, they can almost 100% guarantee you that Theresa May would not have won the election.
Yeah, I mean, actually talking about the elections, I remember listening to Daniel Lemmy, who said that he, during the election campaign, they were up and down these flats, talking to people, and he said that it was shocking. This is, he's basically said this is corporate manslaughter.
He's not the only one.
No, he's not the only one. And it's unacceptable that there were no sprinklers, there were no fire escapes. There were, there really was for a block of 24-floor block with 120 odd flats.
Yep.
The fire safety procedures were just not adequate.
Of course they weren't
at all. I mean, we just I just want to kind of move on to the 8.7 million that has been spent recently on renovating. And yet they didn't do the sprinklers. Sprinklers would have cost them another £138,000 for that entire block, and yet they didn't. They refused to kind of. I don't know about refused to, but didn't. Even though the residents pushed it, they've been reporting about the fact that it's a fire trap, the fact that there weren't adequate safety measures, but yet nothing has been done.
Yeah, I mean, and that seems to be the common theme from the residents living there, that everything's been fallen on, on deaf ears. Nobody cares about what their plight is or what they felt it would be until it's actually happened. And now, I think it's important to stress that the council, Kensington Council, have said, look, we followed all protocol as far as we're concerned. We didn't do anything wrong.
Well, I don't know. How can you? I mean,
let me just add
protocol.
To that. Here's the funny thing about all this, and when everybody else is releasing statements about how sad they are, and they're going to help and support everybody, they started off with this is a tragedy, and then immediately went with, well, we followed all our protocol. It's almost as if to say, well, before we come out and give our statement, we've called our lawyers, and we've said, right, tell us where we stand. And so the lawyer, I audit myself. For where I work, I do auditing there. The lawyers would have said, right, are your audits up to date? Right, get all your audit files together.
Yeah.
I want to see everything over here. That's what's going to happen, brother.
Yeah.
Now they're going to look at who checked what and where what was checked.
Well, everyone's protecting themselves now,
exactly,
isn't it?
and that's the sad thing, because we have no idea about how many people have perished. And like you mentioned earlier on, they had one fire exit, which was the stairs, one of the testimonies of the guys on the radio, and he was saying, look, when he came out, he's coming down the stairs, and the smoke was becoming thicker and thicker and thicker. He was on level 7, brother.
Yeah.
He was on level 7.
Yeah. I mean, the escalators. I mean, the lifts. I mean, somebody was saying that he's been living in that neighborhood for all his life, and it takes £60,000 a year to service the lifts, and they've never been working. So I don't know if they were working at that point, that time, but the reality is that the fire procedures or the fire safety or routes weren't adequate. And one of the other things is, one of the reasons why this fire was so severe was because of the cladding that was put on to make the block prettier, according to many. And what I can't understand that is £22 a square meter to put that cladding on, which has flammable material, but £24, so only £2 more would make it fire resistant. And yet, why would you choose to save £5,000 on a building that size and not not put the fire resistant cladding on? I don't understand.
Somebody needs to answer that question.
Yeah.
Somebody in a position of responsibility needs to answer that question.
I mean, how can you sign a building off? I mean, a material that's been banned in the US since 2012, banned to be used on buildings as tall as that in the US, is allowed to be used in the UK. How can you kind of not ask the questions?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, how can you pass that? I mean,
there's a theme, at the moment, which is that the council, Kensington Council, are quite happy to take the millions from other more wealthier residents and allow them to build what they want, essentially. But when it came to their housing, nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And moreover, the reason, like you said, the reason why this refurbishment took place, because it was an eyesore. And the rich people who were essentially living on the other side, who could see this block, were just sick and tired of seeing this dilapidated, worn down building. I thought, right, something needs to be done here. And this, it sounds like everything's been done on the cheap.
Yeah.
But the problem we've got now is that means these people have passed away on the cheap.
Absolutely. For the sake of £5,000, I mean, if it comes to that, if after the studies and the analysis have done, and it comes to the fact that the cladding was largely which is what the perception is now, that the cladding was largely responsible for making the fire spread on the exterior at the rate it did, because they've got this policy that people should stay in their rooms, and part of the reason for that policy, or one of the main drivers of that policy, is that the fire services can contain the fire on the exterior, but yet they couldn't because of a fire spread. And the way the cladding was put is that the exterior wall and the cladding, there was a gap between the two, and it was through that gap that the fire was able to shoot up through to the top floors. And I think all these things just come together to make it a fire hazard. And no wonder the Grenfell Action Group have been petitioning the council since 2013, if not longer, that this is unsafe, this is unfit, it's a fire risk. And actually, there was a study that was supposed to have been done on that, and for 4 years, Gavin Barnwell, he was part of that group. He kind of delayed and shelved that fire safety report, and now he's been appointed as the Downing Street chief whip of the Theresa May's government. But the point is, I think people like that need to answer the questions as to why. I mean, we're supposed to be concerned about the safety of citizens of our country. Why is something so fundamental? Especially when, I mean, it would be different if nobody knew, nobody asked a question, and it just happened, and it was it was tragedy, right? But here, people were for years have been petitioning the council, the government, the housing, so whoever would listen, they've been petitioning that there needs to be a fire safety, a fire report needs to be done on this, on Grenfell Tower, especially in the wake of what happened previously, and yet none of that was coming. Nothing. And when a law was to be passed which would have made the landlords more responsible, it was voted against by 70 MPs who were themselves landlords. I mean, I don't know.
You just can't make this up. As far as I'm concerned, brother, this should be a criminal investigation. Do you know that? I think it should be a criminal investigation. And here's the other elements to this as well. People talk about sprinkler systems. That's fine. Here's the saddest thing about this. There will be a hotel down the road, even a budget hotel down the road, brother, that will have a sprinkler in it.
Yeah.
And it's not just that; it was a combination of factors. You also had,
I mean, £138,000 is all it would have cost. Sometimes you think, oh yeah, it's a 1970s building, it's old building, maybe a sprinkler would have been too much, but £138,000 is all it would have cost.
Here's the thing: fire alarms did, they alerted people sporadically. Not everybody's fire alarm worked, brother.
No, that's right.
Talking about communal fire. There was nothing.
People didn't even hear the fire alarms because in most cases they didn't work. And I tell you who were the fire, who did it was the people coming out, especially out of Taravi, who ran into the building block, as we said, started banging on the doors to wake people up.
Yeah.
And that was their fire alarm.
Yeah.
That was the reason why so many people were saved.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, if we weren't in Ramadan, if people weren't up for Taraweeh and they weren't waiting for Suhoor, the death toll would probably have been much, much higher.
And here's the thing, some of the people interviewed said, we could hear people shouting in the street, there's a fire, there's a fire. You know, they looked out the window, and and so on and so forth, and they came out. Some of the stories, some of the images, some of the video clips that I've seen, and I'm sure our listeners have seen as well.
Yeah.
You have this sister. She's on the 23rd floor,
Subhanallah.
right, and she's broadcasting on Facebook Live, right? And I'm sure everybody's seen this video. And to me, that is the toughest video, because you empathize with this person. She's video live on Facebook. She's reading the kalma, right? And then she's saying in Arabic, "I'm on the 23rd floor. How am I supposed to get down?" And then you hear somebody in English shouting, "We're on the 23rd floor. Help us! We're on the 23rd floor." But how, brother?
Yeah, I think if it's the same sister who she was opening a door, letting people in as well. I mean, even in those kind of at the time when all hope is gone, she was still looking at helping others. And the other thing is, I mean, she was saying the shahada. The Prophet said that one who says the shahada at the end of his life, there is nothing between him and Jannah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bless all these people who've...
I'm glad you mentioned that, brother. I mean, the other thing as well, I mean, this is really heartbreaking stuff. Parents having to choose between themselves or their child. Some parents throwing their child out the window.
That's right, yeah.
Other people thinking, do I succumb to the fire or do I jump? We're humans. We don't know what we would do in that situation. Let's be honest here.
Just imagine the trauma. I mean, I don't know. I'm listening to some of these reports and I'm putting myself in their shoes. And these people are standing under this burning building, this tower block. They're looking up, and people have windows open and saying, "Help us!" And there's nothing anyone can do.
Yeah.
And they've got their brother, like the one family that where they try to escape and they got pushed around, and so they all managed to come out except one brother who for one reason or another got left behind, and he was on the phone to his brother saying that I don't know. And these guys had come from Syria to escape the war raging, and felt it was safe in this country, and this happens. I mean, Allahu Alam, but the point is that these kind of it's shocking to hear, and I think it's heart-wrenching to hear some of these stories.
I mean, I'll tell you the other thing that really upset me, and I'm sure it did a lot of the people, where they were saying that people were in their flats using their mobile phones as lights to alert the emergency services to say, "Look, we're up here," and they say they're watching them, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. And you know what? Yeah, I understand this, right? And I'm sure everybody is with us. Everybody's emotionally affected by this. But moreover, I think everybody now wants to know what's happened, why it's happened, how, and why, what's going to be done about it. How is this going to be prevented for the 4,000 remaining towers in the UK?
That's right, yes. That's right.
I know at the moment that Theresa May has said there's going to be an investigation now to find out for the rest of the building. That's fine. But what about these families?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to their lives? You only have to step back. We are in Ramzan. It makes you appreciate what you have. Yeah. But by the same token, you're frustrated for them. Hence why you see people at the moment walking throughout London protesting, and the police, their credit, are not getting involved because they know tensions are really, really high. So they're allowing them to protest. But everybody
you can't stop somebody from protesting anyway.
One of the common themes coming from the protesters at the moment, is corporate manslaughter.
Yes.
They're screaming it, brother. They're screaming it.
It's obvious, even if you didn't know anything about the facts of the case and you knew sporadically, it's just the writing is on the wall.
It is.
I mean, you'd have to be blind not to see it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, Sad, and you're absolutely right. And I hope now energies, like Dr. Shabin said earlier on, everything puts in a positive way. But it's a human reaction, brother. It's a human reaction to turn around after everything's happened, even in the moment, think, right, whose fault is this?
Yeah.
I need to point a finger somewhere.
Yeah. Well, you lose your family, you lose your children, your little ones, your 6-month-old child. You're gonna want to know why that's happened.
Or as it is at the moment, they don't even know what's happened to them.
They don't. That's
even
right.
know what's happened to them.
That's right. I mean, that's one of the biggest causes. That look, tell us. Release the figures, the death toll.
Yeah.
But that's not coming, and I think a lot of people are kind of Keller, he said that the people lived in this, they were too poor to live. The idea was that because they lived poor people in a rich neighborhood, this was allowed to continue. This lack of safety, lack of attention to the safety and security of these people was allowed to prevail because they were poor there were poor people in that neighborhood.
It's such a sad, that's a damning indictment of what's actually happened. You know, I just pray, you know, Allah Ta'ala gives these people sabr, strength, you know, and it's just heartening to see the community there themselves rallying around each other.
I mean,
try
I before, I know we've not got a huge amount of time left, but I want to kind of talk about and it would have been wonderful to have a bit more time, but I want to talk about the response of the people.
Yes.
You know, the community.
Yes.
I mean, this is true human relationship.
Yeah.
This is what the difference between the humans and the animals.
Yeah.
That at the time of need, people are coming together. They you know, they're opening themselves, saying, "Look, come, I will help you. You know, what do you need?" You know, and I think that was a spirit of community which was actually wonderful to see yet again, because I think we've, as Dr. Shabina said and rightly pointed out, that we've had a series of disasters recently. You know, we've had the attacks in Manchester, in London, and then this, and each time, you know, for one reason or another, the communities have come together.
Yeah.
And have stood together, and I think this was a testament where communities have come together and stood together and said, "Look, this, you know, we are the same people. We are in the same boat." You know.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm going to talk about the fact that Kensington is essentially, like Corbyn said, it's a tale of two cities. Okay, so I've got a little bit here that I'm just going to quickly read here. So a lady called Annabelle Donald, a well-to-do grandmother, has lent her ground floor apartment to 6 people from the estate who had nowhere else to go. On the night of the fire, Donald rushed to the local church in her pyjamas and spent hours helping evacuees as best as she could. She made tea, provided toys, entertained the children. She even cleaned the toilets for these. This is a well-to-do grandmother, and you know, I'm going to quote what she said. She said, "The feeling is among the less privileged that they get nothing, and that the more privileged get everything." I think that is absolutely true.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
And then she further said, you know, they are just very proud of being such an economical borough, and they just do it because they think it will please a certain sort of people. She's talking about the council.
Yes.
That's it. And it goes to say that, you know, and the last thing she says, and this has really like touched me, she said, and this is coming from a wealthy person in that borough, she said, "I have never felt more accepted in this area than when I was helping these people, because they didn't care which side of the divide I came from.
Right, yeah.
All they cared about was I was playing with their children, giving them nappies, giving them tea and coffee."
Yeah.
That's a human
that's
response.
The human response. Yeah,
now, you know, perhaps on Monday when this didn't happen, if the two parties had seen each other, maybe there was an apprehension. You know, whether they were wearing or whether they drive or whatever. Okay, but when this tragedies happen, like you said, humans are human, brother.
You know, the reality is that anyone could be on that side of the equation. You know, it could happen if it's happened to somebody else, it could happen to us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to kind of recognize, and I think that's what's recognized. And you know, I mean, you know, as Dr. Shabina said, that, you know, the media's probably not. I mean, there's a masjid nearby which has opened its doors. It opened up a room to have, you know, to help the victims, and you know, and what happened is that it was overflowing. It was overflowing with the generosity of people in a matter of hours.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show that how much everyone has come together and clubbed together to help out. And I think that's kind of a wonderful thing. And I think the more, you know, I mean, it's unfortunate it's taken an incident like this to kind of surface that, but I'm sure a lot of that goes on anyway throughout the country.
It does, yeah. Thanks for discussing that with me tonight, brother. I think we have a couple of community announcements. We only got 15 seconds. Go ahead.
Inshallah. Okay, so I think on Sunday the 18th, that's this Sunday, the 18th of June, between 5 and 7 p.m., there is an event happening called Challenging Islamophobia and Hate. And the primary purpose of this is that people, you know, is to kind of empower people to be able to...
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
Thinking about
And bespoke heated showroom with full dealership facilities. We source only the finest vehicles from many of the most prestigious marques. We specialise in low mileage vehicles, which predominantly come with one owner and full dealer service history. Finance and warranty options available with bespoke packages. Contact us on Peterborough 555 330 or visit our website morecarslimited.com.
Do you have lots of clutter at home or in the office that needs to be kept but nowhere to keep it? Ivet Self-Storage offers a secure, affordable, clean and dry home for your belongings. We have security systems in place which are monitored 24 hours a day, ensuring that your items are safe. With a simple monthly payment, Ivet Self-Storage provides secure and tailored facilities to meet your specific requirements, whether short or long term. We offer the best prices and longest opening hours in Peterborough. For more information, please call on 01733 306 456 or visit us at Ivet Way, Westwood. Why not make your giving this Ramadan continue throughout this year and into next? By donating £365 for the year, which is just £1 a day, you can ensure your donation provides support all year round. Help give an orphan the reassurance that somebody cares for them, giving them a little normality in an abnormal world. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "I and the person who looks after an orphan and provides for him will be in paradise like this," putting his peace be upon him, blessed index and middle fingers together. To sponsor an orphan, please call 0300 321 0032 or visit our website childrenofadam.net to donate.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're listening to Salaam Radio on 106.2 FM. And for this show, I'm your host with my co-host, Brother Muzaffar. How are you,
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, Brother Muzaffar?
Alhamdulillah.
It's been a while, hasn't it? We missed a week out.
We missed a week out, yeah. But we missed it for a good cause.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
It was Human Appeals Charity.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
That went very well, didn't it?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. And we've had quite a few appeals on the radio. Mashallah, I think all of them have done
very good.
pretty
You know,
well.
over 100,000. Amazing,
Mashallah,
isn't it?
Mashallah. And inshallah, we're going to be talking about generosity and charity and things like that, and what we can do in the last 10 days, how we can make the most of that. Inshallah, so today we're going to have the show split into two parts. So the first part, me and Brother Muzaffar will give tips. We've picked 7 tips on how to make the most of the rewards in the last 10 days of Ramadan. And in the second half of the show, we're going to be talking about the 7 tips for improving our relationship with the Quran. So in the second half, inshallah, we'll have Sheikh Mahmood joining us, and we'll have a discussion between the three of us. And in the first half, inshallah, we've got a couple of guests here. We've got Adam and Daniel. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Good. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, salam. So these brothers, they're going to actually talk about, what did you want to talk about?
Charity and the last 10 days. And stuff.
Last 10 days. So they're going to be talking about their experience of charity and how we can make the most of the last 10 days. So inshallah, one of the tips is on how we can be more generous in the last 10 days. So believe it or not, almost 2/3 of the month has gone.
It's gone.
Where's it gone?
Very quickly, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you think? Has it flown by?
Yeah. Really quickly.
Have you been fasting?
A little bit of it, yeah.
Full days or half days?
Some of them have been full days, yeah.
Wow, mashallah, that's amazing. It's quite long, isn't it?
Yeah. Adam's fasting today, haven't you?
This is my first day. I was on well the rest of the Ramadan so far, so this is my first day.
Mashallah. And how old are you, Adam?
10.
Mashallah, very good.
Daniel, how old are you?
Almost 15.
Mashallah. So you guys are fasting during these hottest months. Mashallah, you really impressed me. So it seems like, it was yesterday we were preparing for Ramadan, and now it's going to leave us. How do you feel about that?
Well, because it's the last 10 days, it's the most special days, so we feel like Ramadan's just beginning now when it's actually just ending.
That's mashallah.
This is the bit where we do the most worship and things.
Yeah. Are you sure your mum's not kind of told you all this just before you came up to the show? Sounding very, very mature and sensible.
We're professionals.
Are you? You sound like you should be sitting on this seat, I think.
Make sure you catch Laylatul Qadr.
That's
important.
Definitely. And what's really important about Laylatul Qadr? Can you tell us?
It's the night of power, and your du'as are accepted on this night. And also, I think you're fasting. Wait, what was it again?
I think it's equivalent to 1,000 months. Or
something. Yeah, that's mentioned.
Yeah, 83 years.
Yeah.
That is.
So thereabouts. So near enough 83 years. So this night is better than 1,000 months.
Yeah.
So you worship in this night, one night, you got the reward for, as you worshipped in for 83 years. Just imagine that. That's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How merciful and kind He is. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So in terms of how we can best maximize these blessed nights, the first tip before, the first point that I'd like to bring up is our intentions. I always say this. I think before you do anything, I mean, we mentioned it last time as well, that it's really, really important that we make sure our intentions are pure. So we have to make sure 100% that whatever we're doing, first of all, make a really good intention. And the Prophet ﷺ said, the reward depends upon the intentions, and every person will get the reward according to what he has intended. And since actions are judged by intention, the first step before we do anything is to make sure the intentions are pure.
Of course. The more pure intention that you have, more reward you will get. You know, as we say in Ramadan, you can get the reward up to 700 times, depending on your intentions.
Yeah.
More the sincere your intention is, more reward you will get. And with that, I think the second thing that we must be very careful, and we must be always, you know, thinking how we can better ourselves is through the 5 daily prayers. That's the most important farida on a Muslim.
Yeah. I mean, Sheikh Mahmoud was mentioning that in the Jummah khutbah. I know you weren't,
yeah, I wasn't there.
You wasn't there, but he was mentioning that, and what he was saying was that this is like a basic thing that we should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
But in Ramadan, sometimes we can get bogged down in doing all the extra things, and we forget about, you know, the most compulsory basic things. Which
I mean, if you read some of the hadith about the prayer, importance of prayer, the Prophet ﷺ said that that's the difference between a person who accepts Islam and accepts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as his Lord and Master, and the one who doesn't. So belief and disbelief, actually, the difference is the 5 daily prayers. And you're right. There are, unfortunately, Muslims who neglect the prayers, who don't do 5 daily prayers. And if we can get our 5 daily prayers right, the farida, and then we do the extra, this is how we get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Extra mean nawafil as well. And this is the right month to start that.
Yeah.
And the last 10 days of the month, where one nafil, one optional prayer can be rewarded as a fard prayer. And the fard prayer can be rewarded as 70 fard prayer. So just look at the reward. And most of the people pray in Ramadan, but we should go a step forward and carry on after Ramadan as well.
I think also the other point to do with prayer is that we've got to make sure that we do it in the best possible way. What I'm trying to say with that is sometimes we get into like a robotic motions.
Yes.
And you can just quite easily, quickly start praying and not think about the prayer. I think sometimes we just need to slow down and put aside, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to say, look, this 10 minutes I'm going to spend, I'm going to take my time and really think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while I'm praying. Because remember, this is where we're communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I think you can improve that with having khushu, meaning concentration. But if you understand what you're saying in the prayer, that will increase your concentration. That will increase your khushu. So you learn the meaning. If you don't know, and most of the Muslims are not Arabic speaking, so we learn the translation of the prayer. We learn the translation of short surahs that we recite in our prayers. That will increase our concentration and make us focus more on what we are saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we don't know what we are saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will be difficult to concentrate. So it's important that we learn the meaning of the prayer, we learn the meanings of the short surahs, and that can make us concentrate on our prayers. And this is thinking about our thinking should be that I'm standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicating. I'm talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just think of if you have to go to a very important meeting, how you prepare, and you rehearse, and you think that I should be approaching this like this. So it's all about how focused you are, and more that you learn, what you're saying, more focused you will be.
Have you guys got anything to add to that? In terms of prayer, do you find it, when you pray, do you concentrate on your prayer? Does sometimes your mind drift and you start thinking about your games or something else?
Well, your mind can drift very easily, and that's why people say just spare 5 or 10 minutes before prayer just to clear your mind of any thoughts. So then when you pray, you can concentrate on your prayer and not on what you're going to do after your prayer.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I struggled with for a long time was, this thing you mentioned about learning the meaning of the short surahs. what I used to find was when I was reading Surah Al-Fatiha, I would actually be thinking of the meaning. So I found that kind of distracted me in a way. I don't know if I can't really explain it, but it started distracting me. But then I read something, and what the brother in this article said was that rather than concentrating on the meaning, think about that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you pray. So when it's like you said, when you go for a job interview, you're going to be doing it to the best of your ability. You're going to be dressed in the best clothes. You're going to be nice and clean. So you prepare yourself mentally and physically before you stand for prayer. And I think if we get into that kind of thinking, it just takes that little bit, maybe 5 extra minutes. I know it's a bit difficult when you're at work or at college or school, but if we're at home, I think that 5 or 10 minutes extra makes a huge amount of difference.
It does. And concentrating, as different people concentrate different ways. I feel that since I've learned the meanings of what we recite in the prayers and the surahs that we normally recite in the prayers, is helped me to concentrate more, because I at least I know what I'm saying now.
I think that's really important. Plus with that, when you're saying when you know the meaning of Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, you know what those words mean.
Yes.
Then you can imagine. You can't imagine, but you can think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so vast, and you can think of the attributes and the vastness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay.
So also I think what we need to is to connect with the Quran. As the theme of this month, Salaam Radio is it learn it, love it, and live it.
So in terms of connecting with the Quran, this was another point that Sheikh Mahmood mentioned actually. I don't know if it was this Jummah or did I read it somewhere. Anyway, he mentioned it. Then I was watching a lecture by Numan Ali Khan, and what he was saying was that when we think about Ramadan, what do you guys think? When we mention Ramadan, what's the first thing that comes into your head?
Fasting.
What does come into your head?
Fasting.
So first thing we think about is fasting, but actually the month of Ramadan, the first thing that should come into our mind is the Quran.
Yeah, and the worship.
Yeah.
So in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah, the month of Ramadan is that in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for the people and clear proofs of guidance and criteria. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't say the month of Ramadan is in which fasting was revealed, is where Quran was revealed. So the important thing, I think, sometimes we can get bogged down in, okay, we got to prepare the iftari and the sahur, and these fasts are going to be so long and all this type of stuff. But I think really what we should be doing is thinking, how can I actually connect with the Quran?
Yes.
What can I actually do to actually connect with the Quran? And this month is the perfect time to actually practice, to have making arrangements and starting practicing to actually have a stronger relationship with the Quran. I mean, reading the Quran, as we know, isn't just limited to the month of Ramadan, but I think this is the month where we should definitely
this is the month that we can re-establish that connection again. So if we are, rest of the months we are not reading, and now we started reading, is that we can carry on after Ramadan as well. Because Quran, as we know that Quran is a guidance for us, as it says in this verse as well, that Allah has sent the Quran in this month, which is a guidance.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that we read the Quran, and not just read it, we understand it as well.
Yeah.
So when we said there are 5, scholars have said that there are 5 rights of the Quran on every Muslim. One is that we believe that this is book of Allah.
Yeah.
This is the word of Allah. And the number 2 is that we learn to read it.
Yeah.
We learn to understand it, and we practice it, and we also share it with others.
Yeah.
So these are the rights of the Quran as believers. Once we said that Shahada, and we said we accepted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we accepted the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the messenger of Allah, these are our rights to, over the Quran has some rights, and we have some responsibilities towards the Quran.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we not just read, we understand, and we learn the message. What is the message for me? Think about, Allah is talking to me as an individual.
Yeah.
Every time I read, Allah is communicating with me.
I think that's the key thing, really. It's actually pondering over the meanings and actually having deep thought about it. Sometimes it's very easy to get into a mode of just reading and not understanding, because it happens a lot. I used to do it a lot, to be honest with you, and the thing is that can quite easily put you off. You think, oh no, I've got to read another but because there's no actual real objective behind it. I mean, in the second half of the show,
we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about in a bit more depth on kind of tips. And me personally, what's helped me during the month of Ramadan, trying to do things in bite-sized chunks. We mentioned this last time as well, but I think it's good to reiterate.
But I think another important thing that we should practice in this month of Ramadan and then carry on is that we stay away from ill speech. Meaning that we should be very careful what we say.
I think that's really difficult sometimes.
And one of the reasons that Ramadan or fasting is prescribed for us, made compulsory for us, that we learn to control ourselves. That very famous hadith, roughly meaning that the Prophet ﷺ says that there will be people who will not get anything out of Ramadan, out of fasting, except hunger and thirst.
Yeah.
Because they didn't care what they were saying.
Yeah.
They didn't, control what they were saying. They didn't control what they were watching. They didn't control what they were listening to. So this is a training course for us to control, and every limb of our body should be in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, most of and there's another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that most of the sins are committed with your tongue and with your private parts. And he said, if you guarantee me these two, I will guarantee you paradise. Just think of, with our tongue we lie, we can be rude to people, we backbiting, slandering, and these are all, major sins. And there are punishments for this in the hereafter. So it's very important that we control our what we say, and because everything that we say as believers, we believe that everything we say is written down and will be presented to us on the Day of Judgment. And just imagine, everything we say, and if this speech that we, come out of our mouths is, lying, and if it's, being rude to people, and we are swearing, and we are backbiting, and on the Day of Judgment, we regret that, we wish that we didn't say this. So it's very important that we control and we practice to control our tongues and what we say.
Yeah, I think in terms of talking about people and about what's this person done, or I saw him or her, she was wearing this and that or the other. I just think that sometimes if we cut down on this totally, there'll be so much time for better things. That's the things. We say that there's not enough time. One is the time I think gets wasted watching TV or playing games. I'm not saying it's haram to do that. I'm not saying that. You can do that, but I think everything in moderation. But if we cut those things out totally, there'll be so much time for other things. So in terms of reading Quran,
definitely
understanding the meanings of the Quran, attending talks, lectures, it'll be so amazing.
And not just be honest about it. When we sit down, what do we talk about? Normally it's about talking about other people.
About other people,
which is, is a major sin.
And the thing is, it is easier said than done. We can sit here, we can say, do this, but to be honest, me personally as well, I'm talking about myself, it's very, very difficult, but we can only strive, and we have to try. We have to try our best. So if one is, I think, if somebody's annoying us, just ignore it. I've got short fuse, to be honest with you. You know me well enough, and even especially in Ramadan, you can just quite easily lose the plot. But the thing is, lately I've just been thinking, calm down, just relax, and then continue. And I think that's the kind of habit we need to get into.
Definitely.
Okay, next tip was to make lots of dua and dhikr, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I touched on this last time as well. And I was watching a lecture, I'll repeat it again, but I was watching a lecture, and it wasn't a lecture, it was like a short reminder. And what the Sheikh said was that you can quite easily remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in wherever you are. You can just say, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah to yourself. And one thing that will do is it'll stop you doing sin.
Yeah.
Because if that's always on your tongue and you're always thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what are the chances you're going to look at something you shouldn't be looking at, or say something you shouldn't be saying at? Say something you shouldn't be saying. So that is one of the things. And the other things I think we really neglect is dua. Sometimes we just take it for granted. I think we need to go out of our way to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves this when the believers, they ask.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think if we don't ask, it's kind of a bit of an arrogance on our part, I think.
That's what I feel. Of course. Are you not talking about dhikr? Dhikr is, as you said, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sometimes when we talk about dhikr, we only think that you are sitting down and you're in the masjid and you repeat certain azkar. But dhikr is wherever you are, you remember When before you do something, and that's why as Muslims we are taught whatever we do there's a dua for it.
That's right. Yeah.
You go to sleep, there's dua. You wake up, there's dua. Before eating, there's dua. These are all adhkar. You remember.
That's
right. So first of all, whatever we do, we should start with Bismillah. And as soon as you said, as soon as we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we mention Allah's name, we automatically remember that. I'm saying mentioning Allah's name. What I'm going to do is that going to go against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, teaching of Quran and the Sunnah. So dhikr is very important, and that's how we can stay away from sin. That's how we stay away from things that we shouldn't be getting involved into.
Yeah, I think also going on from that, one is that you're saying the du'as, when you at the certain times, but I think also remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also to do with your actions as well. So in terms of, let's say if you're in the marketplace, you're buying and selling stuff.
Yes.
You got to think to yourself, is Allah going to be pleased with me if I do this transaction or don't do it? Not necessarily that you're saying a dua, but you're remembering Allah.
Yeah, that's dhikr. That's dhikr as well. Yeah.
So, like you say,
dhikr
it's not
means
always,
remembrance. Yeah.
So dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can do it at all times. And the best dhikr is reading the Quran.
Reading the Quran, yeah, of course.
Okay, so next point.
The moving on, next point I think is these are the last 10 days of Ramadan, and we have Laylatul Qadr in this. One of the odd nights is Laylatul Qadr. One was last night, and when will be tomorrow, the 23rd. So the night prayer, the Tahajjud prayer. Alhamdulillah, we get a lot of people coming to Taraweeh prayers, but as you said, first and last. I think we mentioned last time when we are here. Yeah. First few days we get packed, masjid is packed, and then people start losing that motivation, and and then last 10 days, alhamdulillah, it starts filling up again. So it's important. But if we look at the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for him tahajjud prayer was compulsory. He did it every night, and he encouraged us, that he told us the reward of and that's the time when tahajjud prayer is when everybody's asleep. It's just you and your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the best time that you can develop that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So wherever possible, we should get up.
I think I'm going to ask Sheikh Mahmood again. He's going to be here later, shortly. But he was talking about in the last 10 days that the Prophet ﷺ used to actually wake his family up. So yes. on other times and in other days of Ramadan, he'd do it quietly.
He did it himself, yeah. And last 10 days, he used to wake up his family.
Because I didn't know that. I only learned that today.
Yeah. So, Tahajjud prayer we should do, especially in these last 10 days. And if, in rest of the year, we can do that as well, that will be even better. Because, the Prophet ﷺ told us that one who fulfills the farida, the faraid, the compulsory prayers, and then he does the nawafil, he gets close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we want to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to do this through nawafil, whether it's nawafil prayers, nawafil sadaqat and charity and so on. And we should try to do that.
Okay, I think we're going to the next point, because otherwise we'll run out of time. Is about giving charity. I think this is where the boys wanted to share something special with us. So who wants to go first? Yeah, go on then. Okay, go on then, Daniel.
Okay, so in the last 10 days especially, when Laylatul Qadr could be, I think it's much more important to give charity, because not only because there's lots of people around the world that need your charity and stuff, but it can give you more rewards as well. So, and like that. And in the past, we've given charity, and it's never we've never been in a bad situation because you've given lots of money, for example. For example, it says...
You came last week as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
You donated some money to...
The children of Adam. Yeah. And so it says that it will never decrease your wealth. And every time that we give charity, we always have some sort of miracle that happens to us every time.
MashaAllah.
So, yeah.
Okay, and Adam, what did you want to say? Because you had something to share as well.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the importance with when you get your wealth to always give charity with it. And in Surah Fajr, it says, "And as for man, when his Lord tries him and thus is generous to him and favours him, he says, 'My Lord has honoured me.' But when he tries him and restricts his provision, he says, 'My Lord has humiliated me.'" No, but you do not honour the orphan. And you do not encourage one another to feed the poor. And you consume inheritance, devouring it all together. And you love wealth with immense love.
Mashallah.
And when you get your wealth, it's basically saying you can't just think it's a blessing, but without giving it to other people and without being generous. You have to live a life of compassion and kindness. You can't be greedy with your wealth.
That's right. I mean, I was listening to something earlier on. It was on the radio, actually. I can't remember who the speaker was. It was one of those short reminders. And he was mentioning that even if somebody's poor, that even if they're not eligible to give zakat, that whatever they've received, for them to give it as sadaqah is so rewarding. And because when you give sadaqah, that increases your wealth, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us this. So he was saying that even no matter how rich or poor you are, that giving sadaqah is very important, and that's kind of a habit. Because if that person, he might give that sadaqah to somebody else, that helps somebody else, and it helps him as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention also that when we think of charity, like we were saying, when we think of Ramadan, we just think of fasting. But when we think of charity, normally we think of money. But charity is much more than that. You know, even Prophet ﷺ said, even a smile is a charity. Moving something from the way, you know, your intention that somebody's going to trip over or slip over, that's charity as well. So, you know, charity is much more than that. Helping somebody, advising somebody's, you know, somebody is in need, you know, and being there for somebody, this is all charity.
That's
so,
right. Because you're giving up your time,
of course,
aren't you then?
Yeah.
And I think that is really important. As a society as a whole, I think just generally helping people is something that's lacking. But alhamdulillah, it's coming. A lot of young people now, they're helping the community, they're helping, you know, neighbours and people that are suffering. So I think it is changing slowly. But I think as a community generally, volunteering and giving our time is still not there.
Not there. We should do more of it.
We should do more of it.
And alhamdulillah, you know, this what happened unfortunately in London, the fire, and you see as you said, a lot of young people who are coming, you know, and helping and love, you know, food, and they say, look, stop, don't bring anything more. We can't handle it.
Okay, on that note, inshallah, what we'll do is we're gonna wrap it up there because we've got ad break coming up, and inshallah, please stay tuned and we'll see you right after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
Travel Direct and Money Transfer, the only immediate in-house airline ticket office in Peterborough. Get tickets to Pakistan and globally at cheap prices. Send money commission-free, fast and reliably. Call 0733 687 284 or 07908 686 491. Travel Direct and Money Transfer, 205 Gladstone Street, Peterborough.
Ibrahimi Restaurant. Come and open your fast with us this Ramadan. 100% halal food, Pakistani, Indian, Italian and Chinese cuisine. Something for everyone. Early bird offer 5 to 7 p.m. Adults £9.95, children £4.95. After 7 p.m. Adults £11.95, children £5.95. Saturdays, adults £12.95. Under 5s are free and free parking is available. Book now on 01733 313 131 Ibrahimi Restaurant, 63 Sycamore Avenue, Dogsthorpe, Peterborough, PE1 4JP. We look forward to seeing you.
You have one new message.
Please, can you call me, please, for God's sake? I'm really in trouble. Please, Allah the Wasta, call me.
This was a real message. It was left not just for us, but for you. Thousands of our brothers and sisters in the UK are crying out for your help. Don't hang up on them. Find out more and fulfill your third pillar with us. Visit nzf.org.uk. National Zakat Foundation, serving zakat payers and recipients nationwide.
Are you having trouble finding suitable tenants for your property? Are you having problems with your current tenants? Our experienced staff at the letting shop can help you. Our job is to find you the best tenants so you can be sure that your property is in great hands. We fully reference any potential renters so you can let your property with confidence. And that's not all. We also offer rent guarantee deals so you'll never lose a penny in rent. So why not save yourself time and money and call the letting shop now on 01733 313 339. That's 01733 313 339. Or you can visit our office on 69 Mayors Walk, Peterborough, the letting shop. Peterborough #1 letting specialists. Salaam Radio and MEND present an important free community seminar, United Peterborough, challenging Islamophobia and hate. With the recent increase in hate crimes in Peterborough, this timely event will discuss the importance of reporting all hate crimes and incidents, offer key practical advice and provide a Q&A session to alleviate concerns and obtain answers. Speakers are Inspector Kate Furman, Hate Crime Lead for Peterborough, Azad Ali, Head of Community Development and Engagement at MEND, and Arma Suleiman, Director at Salaam Radio. Please join us for this engaging and important event. United Peterborough, challenging Islamophobia and hate, Sunday 18th of June at 5 p.m. Thomas Deacon Academy, Lecture Theatre, Queen's Gardens, Peterborough. All are welcome. A united Peterborough is a safer Peterborough.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You're listening to Salaam Radio 106.2 FM, and tonight I'm your host Faisal Mahmood, and I'm here with my partner. I was going to say partner in crime, I should say that.
Assalamu alaikum again.
And now we're joined by...
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salaam Radio 106.2 FM.
Okay. Subhanallah. I thought I clicked stop. What's going on with this? Custom, fix this, please. Nice, okay. It's easier to say to people like, do this, and then I always make the same mistakes. Forgive me. So alhamdulillah, the first half of the show, just to fill in Sheikh Mahmood, we were talking about 7 points on how to actually make the most of the last 10 days of Ramadan. So we gave like 7. I'll go over the headings for you, just so you know, and the listeners who might have missed it. So the first point that we mentioned was that obviously purify our intentions, and the second point was to make sure that we better our 5 daily prayers. So our fard prayers, that we make sure we do those, and we do those to the best of our ability. And Sheikh, you mentioned that point. To be honest, I was putting this together before your Jummah khutbah, actually. I'm not sure if you got hold of this or something beforehand. But I remember you mentioned, I said, subhanAllah, I was thinking about this earlier on. So we'll,
great minds think alike.
Yeah, amazing. So, I was amazed. The next thing, which we'll touch on now, was the increasing our connection with the Quran. Point number 4 was staying away from ill speech. That's talking about people, and it's very easy to continue those kind of discussions during Ramadan as well. The 5th point was to make lots of dua and dhikr, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we mentioned different ways we can remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in terms of making du'as at those certain points, but also in terms of our actions. When we're doing certain actions, we should think, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to be pleased with this action or not, whether we're selling, buying, selling, trading, those type of things. Then also the night prayers, making sure that we do our best in those, because it's only last 10 days left now, so we should try our very, very best to make sure what we stay for the entirety of those. And the 7th point was to actually increase our giving in charity. And charity, we were talking about not just monetary giving, but also smiling, clearing the road from any debris and those type of examples as well. So inshallah, now we're going to come on to our next part of the show, which is 7 tips that we've come up with on how to improve our relationship with the Quran. Now, in terms of our relationship with the Quran, what a lot of us do nowadays is that we treat the Quran with a lot of respect. We put it on a high shelf, we wrap it up, nice, wrapping, and that's it. It pretty much sits there.
When our children get married, we give it to them as a gift as well.
And we give it to them as a gift. I've seen that in my lifetime, and it happens a lot in our households. Now, I think what we should be doing, we should be asking ourselves, what does the Quran demand of us? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala demand of us in terms of the Quran? And this question and the answers there to myself first. And I need to improve myself before I give advice to others. But I'm hoping, inshallah, as I'm giving this advice, it improves me and it helps others out there as well. So in terms of the kind of things we end up doing, I mean, sometimes we might think they're ridiculous, but they do happen, is that, sometimes what people do is they write the Quran on pieces of paper, they put it into water and then drink the ink and, things like that. And this goes on in our community, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of whether that's something permissible or not, I can't really say. Sheikh Mahmood would be in a better position to say. But what we should be thinking is that, what is the Quran here for? Is it for us to just read and not understand? Is it to put away and not pick up?
Yeah.
So in terms of, can you touch on any points? So points that we've kind of got here is that, we should check, before we touch it, we should check our intentions before we pick it up. Make sure we do wudu. These are like simple basic things, but we've got to make sure we're clean, purification is there. And the other thing I always think is that rather than trying to do things in huge quantities, that we do it in small quantities. So me personally, I'm the type of person that can't sit there for a whole hour, unfortunately. So I normally do it in bite sizes. So I'll do 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and read it like that. We should make sure we understand what we've read. So that means either to try and learn Arabic, which we are trying.
Yeah.
Inshallah, we'll get back into it
Not
after
very
Ramadan.
successful.
We're struggling. That sad face, Sheikh, that you mentioned, we're still there. So we just want to kind of move on from that somehow. I'm not sure how that's going to be a miracle. You're going to have to perform some sort of miracle with that. But other than that, we've got tafsirs available, we've got translations available. The other thing I find very useful is having an app on my phone. The Quran app on my phone, because what that helps me do is, if I'm at work somewhere, if I'm on the train, it's easily accessible.
Yeah.
I can easily pick it up. I can plug my headphones in. I can listen to it wherever I am. Previously we had CDs and things like that, but this makes it so much easier now. You've got hundreds of translations on there. We've got reciters. We can pick whoever we want to listen to. So there's no excuses really. So the other thing what I wanted to say was that not just reading it, but listening to it as well. I think that kind of it helps me relax, to be honest, when I'm just listening to it. Not necessarily understand everything, but at least it's kind of spiritually, I feel it's benefiting me. And then the last point that I had was to make dua, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide me. When I'm reading the Quran, please guide me, and try to do this as sincerely as possible.
I think it's important. The first point that you mentioned is that we need to understand what is the purpose of the Quran, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want us to, why is it so important that we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying read again and again and every day, and what do we want to achieve? If we can get that right, what happens at the moment, I think, in our communities is that we just treat it as a book of blessings. So if something happens, we read, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. Of course, it's book of blessings, but its purpose is more greater than that. I think I'll leave that to Sheikh Mahmood to explain to us what is the real purpose of the Quran and how we should treat the Quran. But I think we don't understand the real purpose of the Quran.
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, these, how many points do you have there? 7. Yes, these are brilliant points. And I think it was a wise idea for you to start off with that point, knowing the actual, what's the Quran in itself. First, understanding the status of the Quran, as you highlighted and Brother Muzaffar highlighted as well. Because the other points are all irrelevant if we don't understand what the Quran is. Touching the Quran with ensuring that we're in ritual purity, having ablution, understanding, or, spending so much of time and having apps and so on, and, deriving blessings. It's first we need to understand what the Quran is. It's that setting the mind, that mind frame. That's what we need to correct first. We need to understand what the Quran is. And definitely, the Quran, its ultimate purpose is guidance. It does have other benefits as well, like we've mentioned, blessings and cure and, things like that and so on. At times, as I just mentioned right now, is when our children get married, we generally, in certain communities, they give them over the Quran and stuff. It's become, symbolic, but there is a larger meaning behind it as well. Whoever initiated this, there's different ways of looking at this. I think it's a brilliant way. It's actually telling your children, listen, we're letting you off now. When you are under our care, we would take care of you. We would ensure that you praying your salah and you're on your deen and so on and so forth. Now you're by yourself, you're living on your own, you're independent, and what needs to guide your life is this book, is the Quran. So, the parents are giving the children not to take it and put it back on the shelf. It's, understand it. open it and see what Allah is saying, try to understand what Allah is saying. So I think that's really, really important. We need to understand what the Quran is. And it's so sad at times, we read the Quran for years, for decades in our lives, but we just don't understand what the Quran is. I'm not speaking about understanding the content of the Quran, I'm speaking about understanding the status of the Quran, what the Quran itself is. And I always give this example. It's a very simple example, but it's a profound way of understanding, what the Quran is. And that is, at times, imagine if there's someone you revere, okay, but doesn't speak your language. How would you go out of your way to communicate with that person? You've received an important lesson. Perhaps you're working for a company, and companies actually employ individuals that speak multiple languages because it opens up the scope of the business and so on. So they actually go out of the way to interact and get translators and so on and so forth. And if we could do this, for our worldly existence and survival and so on, this is really, really important. What a sad reality it is that we understand the Quran, we have the Quran, when we speak to, and again, what I find an irony is, when we speak to our non-Muslim friends and we speak to them about the miraculous nature of the Quran, and the Quran is so powerful, and the Quran is great, and the Quran is like this, you need to read the Quran. But how hypocritical we are when we ourselves don't understand. Yeah. We saying the Quran is miraculous, not because we're convinced it's miraculous, it's because we've heard it's miraculous. Yeah. And it's because we believe it, that's the reason we say it's miraculous. But how many of us would actually do beliefs, and are convinced that the book is a miraculous book?
But in terms of the miraculous nature of the Quran, to truly properly understand that, don't we need to know the Arabic language?
There's various levels of understanding the beauty of the Quran, and I would say yes, the ideal is Arabic, but again, from a more practical approach, everyone can't do it. But that doesn't mean that the Quran cannot be accessible, for an individual who doesn't know Arabic. There's various ways: attending courses, attending lectures, programs. We have translations of not just the Quran, but even translations of classical tafsirs to contemporary tafsirs and so on. So what's required of us is to get the basic gist of the Quran. It's to get the basic message of the Quran and ensure, Uthman radiallahu anhu, we speak about the Quran. The Quran is not just a book of blessings. It's not just symbolic and, we take it and we respect it physically. And at times, in certain cultures, again, this is culturally dependent, how you respect the Quran. Sometimes I've seen, certain individuals, they place the Quran on the floor. I mean, to them, it's not disrespectful, but then you'll get another individual really yelling and saying, this is disrespectful. How much of Quran is in your life? That's even more disrespectful. Do you understand? Than actually placing the Quran on the floor. I mean, ideally, the Quran is the speech of Allah. We need to revere it and so on. But the point I'm making is, Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, he is the individual that was responsible for actually compiling the Quran, that we have it in this form, in this sequence and in book form, between two covers and so on. So Uthman radiallahu anhu, out of all of the caliphs, the successors of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they all passed away at the age the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, except Uthman. They all died at the age of 63, except Uthman. Uthman was over 80 years when he passed away. Imagine, he is not just the MP of some, little, village or city or something like this. He is the caliph of the entire Muslim world at that time. And it expanded outside Arabia by the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu. He's the caliph, he's the Amir, he's the ruler. And age-wise, he's over 80 years old. Right, over 80 years old. Daily before Salatul Fajr, he would come inside the masjid, he would sit down and he would teach the Quran. And every time he picked up the Quran, he truly understood what the Quran is, right? He saw the wonders the Quran played in front of him. He saw it being revealed. He understood the true nature of the Quran. So every time he picked up the Quran, he would take the Quran. We do this as well. That's fine. That's brilliant. He would kiss the Quran, and then he would place it on his head. But look at what he would say after that. He would say, "Hada kalamu Rabbi, hada dusturu Rabbi." This is the speech of my Lord. And that means something, okay? It's a very powerful statement. And what follows is even more profound. He would say, "Hada dusturu Rabbi." This is the constitution of my Lord. What Allah says in here is what I need to do, regardless of whether I agree, I disagree. If Allah says this is good for you, this is good for you. If Allah says this is bad for me, this is bad for me. So it's this attitude that we need to have. Outside, externally, we respect the Quran, we revere the Quran. This is brilliant. We send our kids to Quranic schools and so on and so forth, and we sponsor Quranic projects and madrasas and translating the Quran. And these things are good. But it's how much Quran is in my life. When Allah says I need to do this, am I willing to do this or not? Many of us know, the things that we are doing are incorrect, and Allah wants something opposite to this, but we just continue. And I feel this is, much more disrespectful to the Quran than touching the Quran without ablution, or putting the Quran on the floor, or not having a Quran in one's car, or not having a Quran in one's house, or not giving the Quran to someone's child, when they're getting married, this constitutes, a greater disrespect to the Quran. So, it's the message of the Quran. It's internalizing the Quran. And obviously, as I said, there's various levels. Not everyone can learn Arabic. So many of our, the elder generation, our parents, grandparents, and so on, they've passed this age. It's difficult. But the thing is, if you can't understand word to word what Allah is saying, at least try living your life according to the Quran. That's very, very important. I think, none of us are excused from that.
No.
Perhaps, learning Arabic and attending classes or whatever it is, they might be, might be negotiable or debatable. But in terms of me living my life according to the Quran, that's the ultimate priority. I'll just end with this one point. Aisha radiallahu anha, after the demise of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some individuals who didn't see the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they came up to her and they said to her, can you describe the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to us? What was he like? We've heard about him. Like we teach our children about the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. At times when we read about him as well, and we yearn that how we wish we could meet him and we were living at his time and so on and so forth, and we could access him directly and learn from him and so on. So, they said, we've learned about him and he was this great personality and so on. Could you just describe him? In just one sentence, she described the entire existence of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the entire life of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the Qur'an. That's what it was. You want to know what the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is? It's okay. The physical body of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, physically he's departed from this world, but he's still in front of us. It's the Quran in front of us. So when we disagree with the Quran, when our lives are against the Quran, we're not only disrespecting Allah, but we're disrespecting the recipient of the Quran as well, and that's the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When people criticize the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they swear the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they blaspheme against the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we get upset, rightfully so. But we ourselves are so hypocritical. We blaspheme against the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam daily, day and night. Every time we're not practicing on the Quran, we're going against the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is exactly what we're doing. Those who do not believe in the Quran, those who do not believe in the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't expect them to praise the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You don't expect them to practice on the Quran and follow the Quran. But it's us, who respect the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we believe in the Quran, but then we go against the Quran. So I think, in terms of, especially in the month of Ramadan, and if there's one thing we take from the month of Ramadan, it's let's get serious with the Quran. If it means, and I know, mashallah, I'm not saying this, I shouldn't be praising you guys on your face, but, if people like you guys can do it, you're working, you have family, you have kids, you have grandchildren, you have so many jobs and this and that, and despite all of that, you guys take out time and you making this attempt to try to understand the Quran, to study Arabic. Sometimes, people are just gone past that age where you just can't learn extra languages. But people are making this attempt.
Are you hinting at my age?
No. I'm not you. Just in general, alhamdulillah. Mashallah, you're still younger than me. But, people are making this attempt. So why should we stay behind? If there's other Muslims that are making this attempt, let's join them as well.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about this morning, actually put it on, that's one thing I've got to get rid of is Facebook. Sometimes I do waste time, but lately what I've been doing is I've been posting stuff rather than reading stuff. And one of the things I was thinking about is that sometimes we limit ourselves. We limit ourselves thinking that, this is going to be such a hard challenge. We limit ourselves, we're thinking, I haven't got the time. What we should be doing is we should be challenging ourselves to go beyond our limits. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So rather than limiting ourselves to all the challenges, let's challenge ourselves to go beyond our limits.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm talking about our Pakistani community and culture, somehow for some reason we believe that it's not the responsibility of every individual to learn the Quran and understand the Quran. We leave it to and actually happened to me many years ago before I started practicing. I asked one of the religious scholars, and I said, I want to understand the Quran, and he said to me, it's not it's not for everybody to learn and understand the Quran. You sit in the company of good people, which is mashallah good. Yeah, we should sit, and it kind of clicked in me. He says Book of Allah, and if Allah has revealed this book for our guidance, why can't we understand it? Why is it only few people can understand it? So I think that's culturally we have come, we made up this, that this is only for some people to understand, and they teach it. But there are level of understanding. You can liberate.
I think there are levels.
But as an individual who's claimed that I believe in the Quran as Book of Allah and guidance, I need to have a basic level of what the Quran is demanding from me.
Yeah, this is an important point. The Quran is for everyone. It's not just for specific elite group, the scholars or so on and so forth. It's for everyone. Nowhere in the Quran does Allah address Ya ayyuhal ulama, or the scholars. But time and time again, Allah says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. Who are you and I?
Yeah.
Us. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu. There's nowhere in the Quran Allah is addressing just a specific, individuals who are so intelligent and so on and so forth, who, it's beyond the ability of others to access the Quran. The Quran is for everyone.
A lot of the times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing mankind. Ya ayyuhan nas.
Ya ayyuhan nas as well,
yes.
So which includes everyone.
Which
the
includes
believers
everyone
and the non-believers as well.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. So in terms of if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us as believers and the rest of mankind, surely that should be a message that says that, look, I should be able to access this.
Yes. I should be making an effort to understand. And, as I said earlier, I've read that somewhere that there are 5 rights of the Quran. Learning it. First of all, of course, believing that this is speech of Allah, learning it, understanding it, implementing, practicing, and then also sharing with others. And, these are our responsibilities.
In terms of sharing with us, can you kind of touch on that? So sometimes we go into this mode that I must learn everything before I share it with others. I mean, sometimes there's also a danger that we might not really understand it properly and we're sharing the wrong thing as well. So how can we balance that out?
Yeah, this is one of the rights of the Quran as well. The Quran has many rights, much more than what you've mentioned, but these are the core rights of the Quran. They're very, very important. One of the rights of the Quran is to share the Quran. The Quran is not something, I think I mentioned this somewhere. I'm speaking so much, I don't even know where I say things, right? If I said it on the radio, forgive me, but, remind is always beneficial. That we have wealth, we have some of our resources, some of the things that we own. We hoard it, fine. It might be, acceptable to a certain degree. You own it, you've earned it through your hard work and so on. You can hoard it. If you don't want to spend, you don't want to give in charity, that's fine. But the Quran is something that, it's a gift from Allah. Right? And sometimes, one might argue that, I was born in a Muslim family, so I inherited it. No, but because there are so many other individuals who are born in Muslim homes, but they've left Islam. And there are many others who haven't been born in Muslim families and they embrace Islam. So this Quran is actually a gift of Allah. Allah guides whoever He wants to, and He gives this Quran to whoever He wants to. Just the other day, I was telling one of the students of mine that there's a teacher of mine. He has memorized Sahih al-Bukhari, the entire Sahih al-Bukhari, but he's not a hafiz of the Quran. The student that I was speaking to, he's a hafiz of the Quran, and he was like undermining himself being being a hafiz. It's nothing too special. It's nothing too. I was telling him, no, this is special. This is a gift from Allah. Don't undermine this. This is very valuable. There's people who would do anything to get that gift. So getting back to the point as the right sharing the Quran. When Allah explains the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, and incidentally, shall I say, not coincidentally, but incidentally, in the verses of fasting, when Allah explains the Quran, Allah says the month of Ramadan is the month of Ramadan is that month in which the Quran was revealed. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. And the number one characteristic of the Quran Allah mentions is هدى للناس. It's a guidance for people. Now what we need to understand is, right at the beginning of the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah explains the Quran, He says هدى للمتقين. The Quran is for the believers, for those who are aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Yeah, for those who have taqwa, right? For the muttaqeen. But here in this verse, Allah says, no, hudal linnas, the Quran is for people. And He explains this, and He says this in the verses of fasting during the month of Ramadan. Why? Because the month of Ramadan is closely linked with the Quran. And as Muslims usually, you would agree with me, as Muslims usually, it's the month of Ramadan when we question ourselves and our relationship with the Quran. We do say this at the back of our mind that I need to do something about it. Maybe we recite extra Quran, we attend some Quranic classes and so on, and we make this intention. So what Allah is saying, that's fine. You fixing yourselves, you're trying to reform yourselves through the Quran, but don't forget the larger community. It's hudal linnas. Because what happens is in the month of Ramadan, when you want to achieve something for yourselves, then we become very individualistic. That's what it is. We become very individualistic and we just focus ourselves. I need to worry about myself first. And in that process, it's like, what it is, it's like, during the examination period, when you're really stressing and you're revising, you're not bothered about the next person. You don't even help someone. You lock yourself up in your room or whatever it is and stuff, right? It's because everyone's by themselves. So that's what happens during the month of Ramadan. Everyone's worried about themselves and their relationship with the Quran. Allah says that's good, that's important. But what about the people around you? We need to share the Quran with the people around us. And again, this sharing the Quran with others, there's different levels to this as well. Whatever little knowledge we have of the Quran, and we need to start off firstly with ourselves, sharing the Quran with ourselves, practicing it in ourselves first, and then the people around me, my family members, my children, my partner, or whatever the case is, just the people around me and so on. The Messenger ﷺ mentions, he answers this question. He mentions in the hadith, in fact this was in his final Hajj, he says, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. that anything you've learned from me, even if it is one sentence, share it. Even if you know one sentence of the deen. So, the complex matters and the complicated matters, if we are unaware, we don't have that much knowledge, it's fine. Don't speak about these things. But the things we are sure about, the larger points about our faith, the more universal points about our faith, the things that we believe in, the power of the Quran, the miraculous nature of the Quran, the themes of the Quran, the subject matter of the Quran, the importance of the Quran, and so on. This should not, us not being scholars and not understanding the Quran should not be a barrier in us sharing the Quran.
I mean, the last juz is really easy in terms of the themes. They're generally similar kind of themes, and I think going through that with our children and families, I think this is a really good point. We started it at home, but it just kind of died out. It's like those things that it's difficult to maintain. And we bought this quite an easy book for kids, so it was the whole of the juz 30. Yes. And it's explained in such an easy way, and we started doing it, and then it kind of dies its death. But I think that's the thing we need to revive at home.
Actually, when I go on the Dawah stall, and people do come and take copies of the Quran, I normally tell people to read it from that part of the Quran first, rather than starting from Surah Baqarah, because that talks more about creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the akhirah. So it develops your belief, and and the short verses as well. Yeah, you're right. If we can do that, but I think it's important that we develop that culture in our homes, and we share it with our, as you said, we share it with our families first, our children and grandchildren and so on.
I think one of the issues is that it's quite easy to get stuck into TV and PlayStations and all those type of things. I think once we remove those type of things away from our lives, I'm not saying that, I mentioned this earlier, not haram, we're not saying that, but I personally feel that if we get rid of them, there's so much time for everything else. And then my issue normally is to do with work. It's trying to balance work, family, masjid, and everything else. I sometimes find I do everything, and then I don't have time for myself to sit down with the Quran. It's very difficult sometimes. Yeah. So anything else, Sheikh, before we...
if there's a lesson that we take from your entire show, it's this: let's create this culture, this Quranic culture, this Quranic environment in our families. That's what it is. And there's ways, again, you saying completely block out these things. I would say no, they do these things, engage in these things. We make time for holiday, we make times with our family, going out to the park and picnics and barbecues.
I think those things
like
important.
that.
I just feel
important. But we should have day, whether it's once a week, at least once a week. We should have a time where the entire family gets together, even if it's 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. The entire family has to get together, and what we are doing today is, at this time of the day, it should be fixed. No matter what it is, everyone needs to be there in the family. As the parents or the senior in the family, switch off the Wi-Fi, switch off the television, take the remotes away, whatever it is. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to study the Quran together collectively, inshallah.
For that, Sheikh, we're running out of time. So, inshallah, I'm just going to mention this event that's coming up on Sunday the 18th, 5 to 7 p.m. at Thomas Deacon Academy. It's about challenging Islamophobia and hate. Please make effort to attend that. That's a special event organised by MEND and Salaam Radio. So please make effort, inshallah, to attend that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.